So a week ago, I sat down with the idea that I wanted to record a video, and I couldn't get it done, and I had a whole bunch of technical problems, and it just didn't work out. So I abandoned it, had a strop, and then I've come back to it today. But in that time, what I've wanted to talk about has changed. Originally, I wanted to talk about domestic abuse and signs to look out for, and all that kind of thing. I wanted to go through all of that, and then something in my brain just clicked, and I thought, no, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm sick of dwelling on the past. I don't feel the need to do that anymore. It's been 4 years since all this happened, and really it's time to move on. And I do feel like finally, after 4 years, I'm in a place where I'm ready to move on. I feel settled and stable, and I feel like I've worked through a lot of stuff. So I think that there's a lot of things out there already about what it's like, and the signs and the warnings and things, but there's nothing about what it's like afterwards. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. So my relationship ended 4 years ago, almost to the day, and it ended in a violent incident which I, by this point, knew was coming. And when it actually happened, it was devastating, but it was also a relief, because I knew that after that had happened, I was able to sever the ties. People have said to me and have said to other people, if these terrible things have happened in your relationships, if these men, in this case, it doesn't have to be men, it can be women, it could be anybody, but if these men have done these things to you, why did you stay with them? Why didn't you tell anybody? I mean, if you're telling the truth, then why did you stay? And I think that there are so many different reasons to stay, and it's never the victim's fault for staying in that for so long, because it takes an enormous amount of courage to break out of those relationships. When children are involved, it's very, very difficult, because you have that guilt of taking their other parent away. Or they might be a good parent to that child, but just shit to you. And also, if you love somebody, and abuse isn't just abuse all the time, it moves in cycles, and the way that it moves, and I'm going to try and get this right, is you have the build-up, the tension, then you have the incident, then you have the honeymoon period where that person's apologised to you for doing whatever it is that they've done, and then it goes back into the tension again. And so it's not bad all the time, it's like this constant cycle, and I think that's quite damaging, because you swing between, they hate me, they're doing these awful things to me, oh, but they really love me because he's bought me flowers, and he's made me a nice dinner, and he's done this and he's done that, and he's said all these nice things. So your feelings and your emotions are going up and down all the time. And certainly for me, it took other people coming into the situation and a fresh pair of eyes to be able to show me what a state I was in. And also it took me finding my own self-confidence, and and for me to actually start fighting back and questioning, which gave me the strength to leave. And not everybody has that. One of the things that will happen is you will be isolated, and if you're isolated from people, then it's very difficult to reach out and go, hey, this is going on, I need some help. And anyone who's left an abusive situation is incredibly brave and incredibly strong. But it's not like in the movies, you don't leave and then everything's like sunshine and roses. It's not. It's so difficult, and the scars that are left run so deep. I even like last year, this time of year last year, I was in such a state. It would get to the end of July and I can still feel it, and I can feel these feelings ramping up in me, and I start going over things in my own head, and I'm like, why did he do it? Why did this happen? I'm so stupid. Did he ever love me? Blah, blah, blah. And I've finally got to the point after 4 years where I can go, I'm not going to think about that anymore, because it doesn't matter. What happened, and I can't change it. And it had nothing to do with me, because it doesn't have anything to do with you. It's to do with that person. And a lot of these abusers have their own problems. And it's not an excuse. It's never an excuse. You should never go around purposefully harming people, whether mentally or physically. You just shouldn't do it. But they do have problems. And certainly in my case, he definitely had problems, and sometimes they don't realise it, or they're ashamed of it, or they can't deal with it, so they take it out on you. But it's never the victim's fault. 80% of women, I don't know the figures for men, I'm afraid, but I know this from my therapy, that 80% of women who have been the victims of domestic abuse have mental health problems. I include myself in that, and nobody knows if they're more vulnerable because they have mental health problems, or the mental health problems are caused by the abuse. I definitely already had them, and it made things a lot worse. And I think that it was very easy to gaslight me because I already had a certain way of thinking. But I have been to therapy. It took me 3 years to accept that offer of therapy, because originally I said, no, give it to somebody else, give it to somebody who's suffered more, and that's such a classic thing. But I could not get any help on the NHS, and I wasn't getting any better, so I reached out to the charity You First, who had offered me therapy to begin with, and I finally took them up on it, and it was honestly one of the best things that I've ever done. So I would 100% recommend therapy to anyone. And it seems like it's going to be this really scary, awful, miserable thing, and I thought it was just going to be a group of women sitting around crying and feeling sorry for themselves, but it wasn't. Obviously we had to talk about the unpleasant stuff, but then we moved on, and it was all about building yourself up and teaching you what you deserve, and what's a proper relationship, and what's a proper loving relationship, and what everybody deserves in their life. And it was really, really helpful. The thing that I struggle with a lot is self-worth and self-esteem, and I constantly have this nagging feeling that I am a terrible, awful person, and I'm waiting to be exposed. And I think that the reason why I go above and beyond for people is because I'm desperate for them to like me. I have got better, and I've noticed recently that I have definitely got better. I'm finally in a place to go, well, if somebody doesn't like me, that's okay. Do I like everybody that I meet? No. So it's okay not to be liked. It's okay for people not to like you. It's okay not to get on with everybody. It's okay to fall out with people, because people change, people grow apart. That's totally fine. If someone stops talking to me or drifts away, then yeah, of course it hurts. It hurts a lot, but I can sit and I can think about it now and go, did I do anything wrong? No, I didn't. And I'm okay. And I think this is the first time that I felt like that. I've got other people who do love me and do support me, and it's been very difficult to learn to trust people again, but you can definitely do it again. And I am quite honest about what I've been through, and I do talk about it because I feel like that's important. And people have said, I don't know what to do next. It's over and I don't know what to do next. And I think that you can be in that place where you feel like you'll never be happy again, and you feel like you'll never be loved, and like you're not worth anything, and you are, and you will get better, and it does get better. And I thought that it never would. And if you'd have asked me last year I wanted to kill myself. So if you'd have asked me last year, then I would have just felt like nothing's ever going to get any better. But it does, and I don't know what's clicked in my head other than there's a constant self-talk going on, a reassurance going on, and it's that constant battle of fighting those little voices in your head that are telling you that you're not worth it, that are telling you that you're ridiculous, that are telling you that you're fat and you're ugly and you're unlovable, and going, well, I'm not. And it's really difficult, and it does take a lot of work, but every day that you do that, and even if you spend 90% of the day crying, but you spend 10% of the day going, hang on, I don't think that's right, that's better than you were before. And it's those small steps, and the more you challenge that, I think the better you get. And I've literally sat there today and I've looked at how I feel today, and I've thought, I'm not scared anymore. I'm not worried about anything. I love my life. I have a lovely life. I have a lovely partner. I have fantastic friends. I feel loved. I feel included. And all the things that I never had before, I have got now. And everybody who comes out of an abusive relationship can have those things. So I would say, if you're in that position, talk to people. I mean, you can go and talk to your doctor and say that this has been going on, and they can help you in the right direction. There are charities everywhere that offer lots of different things. And I would say that you have to, with certain things, just let them go. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to think about them, because I think about stuff all the time. But I have also made the decision that I'm not going to keep this morbid holiday anymore, and I'm not going to keep commemorating some awful things in my life. Yes, I talk about them sometimes. Yes, I get triggered sometimes. I hate that word, triggered. It really annoys me. My boyfriend can get annoyed with me because I ask if everything's okay, if I want to have something to eat, is that okay? And he's like, do what you like. Oh, if I have a bad pain day, I'm just gonna go and have a rest, is that okay? And he's like, of course it's okay, you're in pain. But all these things, all these little reassurances help, and I'm hoping that one day I won't need so much reassurance, and I can stand up for myself, and I can go, I'm going to go and do this thing, and I'm going to do it whether I'm allowed to or not, because I am an adult, and that's what we're working towards. So if you listen to this epic ramble, well done. And yeah, I just wanted to record this because I finally feel like there's light at the end of the tunnel, and I think that's really important, and I hope it helps somebody to feel a little bit less alone.